What's going on, you guys? It's the Demigod back on Demigod ENT. And look, bro, check out another reaction video for y'all. So today we'll be checking out all the differences from the Justice League Snyder Cut edition compared to the theatrical cut of the Justice League, of course. Now, I'm interested to see all the little differences here. I only watched the original Justice League that dropped in theater, and I believe it was 2017. I only seen it once in theater. I was extremely disappointed by that movie. It was so mediocre. It wasn't what it's supposed to be. I was very disappointed that Zack Snyder didn't get to finish his vision, that he had to leave, and of course Joss Whedon had to come in, and all this other nonsense and headaches that really brought down the DC universe and really hurt it and put it back a few years, even more behind Marvel than it already was. So that was kind of heartbreaking to see. But anyway, if you don't already know, I did a full review. It was like an hour-long review for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was a spoiler review, by the way, so go check that out. It's up on the channel. I will link it right here. It should have just popped up in your top corner there. So anyway, I'm interested to see what we have here, which, by the way, I really love Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was brilliant. But anyway, let's get into this video, man. Let's see all the differences. So let's get into this. Let's see what they got for us, man. Let's go. Spoiler alert,
Zack
obviously.
Snyder's Justice League is finally here, and it is a markedly different film than what was released in theaters in 2017.
Yeah, that looks a lot different.
Warner Brothers brought in director Joss Whedon to finish the movie with various reshoots and edits. But now that Snyder's original vision has been restored, we've cataloged the biggest differences between the two Justice League films. So here's a breakdown of everything that changed from one cut to another, including the format, the story, the heroes, the villains, and how it all wraps up.
Iris West was only in that little scene and then never again, but of course that's just setting up the Flash movie for Flash 2022, which, if you don't know, I dropped a video on that yesterday. Some movie news about Michael Keaton starring in, not starring in, but featuring in Flash 2022, so go check that out. Anyway, I'm gonna pay attention here.
The Snyder Cut is rated R for violence and some language.
Right, when I started watching that, man, that was amazing, seeing blood and all that, man.
Instead of going standard widescreen like the theatrical release, the Snyder Cut opted for a 1:33:1 ratio, which is why it's presented in that square, full-frame look that Snyder is so fond of.
I thought that was very interesting, but honestly, it didn't bother me at all.
Was replaced by Danny Elfman's for the theatrical release, but now it's back along with some new songs. Justice League was trimmed down to 2 hours for the theatrical version.
Way too short for a Justice League movie. Come on.
4 hours and 2 minutes.
How were they thinking with
chapters. Filling much of the Snyder Cut's hearty runtime is extended versions of many action scenes that had been trimmed down for the theatrical version. The restored action scenes include Wonder Woman stopping the terrorists and obliterating that dude in the hat. Steppenwolf and his parademons have a much bigger fight with the Amazons, and the Mother Box Temple crumbles into the ocean. Reborn Superman taking on the Justice League has some added bits, and the battle.
I'm gonna have to watch this movie a second time. It was that good.
Beefed up as well. It's notable how the theatrical cut had brighter coloring, and the final battle was shaded in red, whereas the new version has Snyder's signature desaturated colors, and that red filter is nowhere to be seen. And
it's weird seeing all these differences.
Zack Snyder wanted to do with his version of Justice League was to have the film reflect the darker, more serious tone of his previous movies. Warner Brothers, with the Joss Whedon reshoots, tried to make the film echo the MCU shtick by giving it a less grim vibe and more jokes,
which really threw off the movie because you could tell they were kind of battling each other, the two tones inside the movie there.
Those are all exides from the much more dramatic Snyder Cut, although it does still have a sense of humor, but it's more understated, as the main tone of the film is the dread of the coming evil that is steadily overcome by the blossoming hope of the heroes.
Darkseid.
I'm not gonna say it.
The League.
Now that we've covered the basic differences, let's dig into the story and how the heroes of the Justice League themselves differ between the two versions. The theatrical cut started with those cute little podcast kids filming Superman, Superman's funeral, and the world mourning his loss. Batman kicks off the movie already knowing there's an alien invasion and uses a burglar's fear to draw out a parademon. A burglar, mind you, that knows
I remember all of this.
None of that is part of the Snyder Cut, which starts following Superman's
which is kind of interesting. You know, we get all this just
that
different
reverberates
footage
across
of Batman
the DC
inside two
universe and
different,
wakes up the mother
completely
boxes.
different versions
This is of vital importance
of the
because,
same
as
movie.
it is explained later in the film, now we know it was the mother boxes that signaled to Steppenwolf and his master Darkseid that the planet was vulnerable without Superman there to protect it. After that,
Right.
we shift to Bruce searching for Aquaman, but at this point, he's just on a mission to recruit allies, and it's not until later when Wonder Woman tells him about Darkseid that he learns there are, you know, actual aliens invading the world. The Bruce and Diana arc that formed the spine of the theatrical cut is gone.
Terrible scene.
Instead, the Snyder cut focuses on the bond forming between the entire team. As for individual
I mean, really, all of
in the
Joss
Snyder
Whedon's
cut,
addition
Batman
to
has
this
a couple
film
tech
was
side quests between his
so
energy-absorbing
lackluster.
gauntlets and fixing his flying fox plane, the latter of which Cyborg helps him solve.
He wants to fly.
It was so
Batman's
Avengers
full character arc
wannabe.
that
He even
started in
copied
Batman v
some
Superman
scenes
is
that
now
he
paid off
did in
as
the
he went
original
from that
Avengers.
lowest of
Like,
lows
for
to
what?
finally being the more hopeful and optimistic one.
Safe, Alfred. Safe.
Plus, we get a ton more Alfred scenes, and those are all priceless.
I really loved how they did the whole Batcave and the entrances and the exits of
For
it.
Superman, most of Henry Cavill's scenes were reshot by Whedon for the theatrical version to better fit that film's lighter tone. And most infamously, Cavill was not allowed to shave the mustache he was sporting while filming Mission Impossible Fallout,
Yeah,
so it
which
was
resulted
digitally
in
removed to
a disaster.
questionable success. The theatrical cut had Superman joining the final battle and flying off to save people with Flash, people like that Russian family, but
I
that's
kind of
all
liked
gone.
that
Whereas
in
the
there,
Snyder
where
cut,
Superman
there's
and
more
Flash
time spent
raced,
exploring
but
the aftermath of his
very little
return,
things I
as
actually
Superman
enjoyed
walks
inside
back
that
through the Kryptonian
original
ship and
version of
dons
this
a
movie.
comics accurate black suit. There's a new scene where he meets
black suit was
Alfred,
amazing.
and he stays put to help defeat Steppenwolf. As for Lois
He
Lane,
beat the
in
hell out of
Whedon version
Steppenwolf in that
Justice
movie.
League, Lois mourned the death of Clark and got called thirsty by Martha Kent. Whereas in the Snyder cut, she leaves her job at the Daily Planet and spends her time in grief visiting the Superman Memorial. And she has
Yeah.
a much different heart-to-heart with Martha Kent. Although, it turns out that Martha in this scene was actually the Martian Manhunter, who was cut from the
What?
theatrical version. He's now added back in, revealing General Swanwick from Man of Steel is actually the shape-shifting hero from Mars. For the Flash, a
What?
big Barry Allen scene was cut for the theatrical version.
I must
but
have
now
missed
it's
that
back
while I
so
was
we can
watching.
see
What
how he
the
saved
hell?
The woman fated to one day steal his heart, Iris West, and set up the Flash solo movie. The Flash is still the comedic relief and a newbie hero, like in the theatrical cut.
As a bat signal, that's your. Oh, sorry.
But in the Snyder cut, things like him tripping during the underground battle and Batman
Dumb.
giving him a little pep talk are no longer there.
Save one person.
Those scenes were terrible, man.
Moving on to Aquaman, there are a few more Atlantis-centric scenes in Snyder's movie. Most notably, a previously cut scene of Arthur meeting a long-haired Vulko. Overall, Aquaman is much more wild in the theatrical cut,
So I noticed. I was like, in the
whereas he's a
Aquaman
bit more
version,
brooding in
he
the
didn't
Snyder
have
cut.
long hair.
Also,
I
Mara's
don't believe.
accent seemingly has changed between the two cuts, and she gets in on the R-rating fun by trying to bloodbend Steppenwolf. And then we
Yeah,
come to
that was dope
Cyborg,
scene.
whose entire story was rebuilt for the Snyder cut, positioning him as the heart of the story as Snyder originally intended. Overall, it's not just Cyborg's origin story that was missing from the theatrical cut, but also his key role in the breaking of the Unity, the full scope of the abilities he's been blessed/cursed with by the Mother Box, and his relationship with his father, Silas Stone. Silas proves to be
You know, they
a
really
key
added so
supporting
much
character in
depth
the Snyder cut.
to
As we
his
see
character
more of his
inside
work
this
in Star
movie.
Labs, he lets
I really
the league
felt for
pass during a
Cyborg's
new
character.
sequence where they infiltrate the facility. He sacrifices himself to mark
Man,
the
that
Mother
was a
Box
crazy
with a heat
scene.
signature, and he leaves a recorder for Cyborg that becomes
A lot
the
of scenes
emotional
that Snyder
bookend
had
to
in
their
here really,
father-son story.
pulled on the
Silas's
heart there.
lab mate Ryan Choi was cut from the theatrical version, but he's back in the Snyder cut. Comics fans know him better as the Atom.
Oh, really? Okay. So I seen people making a big deal over him. I
That's
didn't
enough
realize
of the
that that
heroes.
was Adam.
Let's dig into the bad guys of the Justice League. Starting with the biggest bad DC has to offer, Darkseid. Whereas
Yeah.
he wasn't even seen or mentioned in the theatrical cut, Darkseid looms large over Zack Snyder's Justice League. We learn about his history thanks to Wonder Woman, and that leads to a
We
flashback
need
of an epic
to
battle.
restore
The
the
theatrical
Snyderverse
version had replaced
and
Darkseid
get that
with
full
Steppenwolf for this
Darkseid
battle,
film.
but
We
now
need that, man.
Darkseid
It needs
is
to
back
happen,
as his
DC. Come
younger
on.
self, named Uxas in the comics. The flashback battle is longer, with some new moments of violence where he slices
What a
off the
beautiful
Green
scene,
Lantern's
man.
ring hand and is defeated when he takes a
I mean, I was
big
really
old
mind
bloody
blown while
axe
getting to
chop
see
in
all
shoulder
this.
from Ares. In the Snyder
Right.
cut, Darkseid is shown chilling on Apocalypse with Desaad and Granny Goodness. see a nightmare sequence showing how Darkseid would devastate Earth if he were to turn Superman evil with the anti-life equation. As for Steppenwolf, in the theatrical release, his master plan is all his idea, seemingly, and his fear ultimately gets him killed by his own parademons. In the Snyder Cut, he's there on a mission for Darkseid. Not to mention, he gets a new look and a slightly altered voice. We get a better sense of his motivation.
Yeah, his new suit inside this film was so much better
and then he gets sent back
compared to 2017. Great scene.
Finally, let's dig into the major differences of how each Justice League film ended. In the final battle, there are some moments from the theatrical cut that remained in the Snyder Cut, such as Bruce leading the parademons away and Arthur surfing down a building. But the Snyder Cut has tons of new action beats and plot twists, like Batman breaking through the barrier.
Look how the tone and everything is completely changed. It's so crazy how something could be the exact same scene but look just completely different.
Where they assemble as a team. Then there's the
and have a completely different meaning to it.
Versus Flash race to decide the fastest man alive was exclusive to the theatrical cut. Both films have a stinger with Deathstroke meeting Lex Luthor, but in the theatrical cut, Lex is recruiting him for a new villain team, while in the Snyder Cut, he's giving him some key intel to help him take down Batman, which was a setup for the Batfleck solo movie that has since been canceled. The Snyder Cut also shows the Martian Manhunter introducing himself to Bruce Wayne. It also offers another glimpse of the nightmare future, featuring none other than Jared Leto's Joker, who was not
I heard that
part of the story.
Snyder wanted to use Green Lantern's character also, but they didn't allow him. Warner Brothers didn't allow him.
Proper scene together. This scene is of course a follow-up to the Nightmare Dream sequence in Batman v Superman, and reportedly that apocalyptic reality was going to come to pass in the subsequent installments of Zack Snyder's Justice League trilogy.
I need to see more of this apocalypse also, which is why I need this Darkseid,
so
this
the
part
scene is
2.
essentially a little peek at what could have been for the DCEU. So those are the biggest changes we found between the two Justice League movies. What changes stood out to you the most? Let us know down in the comments. Be sure to check out our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That was a very good video there.
Breakdown of the flashback scene by the folks who made it.
And that there. So anyway, let's talk about this, man. So all the little differences, little nuances, some of the same scenes, completely different meanings, completely different tones, completely different shading. I mean, it's so impressive how one director can use it in one way and then a different director can make it completely something else. The exact same thing mean completely something else in a different version. It's amazing getting to see just how film workers work and incorporate things into their passion projects. But anyway, like I already said, go watch my Zack Snyder's Justice League spoiler review. That video didn't get enough love. It deserves a lot more. Anyway, that was a good video from that channel. I appreciate y'all for putting together this video, showing us all the little differences between these two films. It's completely obvious which the better one is. Zack Snyder's Justice League is just levels and levels beyond the 2017 Joss Whedon cut. That film was, man, so mediocre, put such a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm sure in a lot of other DC fans' mouths. And yeah, man, so those are my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Did you enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League? How do you feel between the two differences, them compared? Which film did you think was better? I'm pretty sure a majority of you think Snyder Cut was a lot better. Some of you may actually prefer the Whedon Cut. I'm not sure why you would, but let me know in the comments down below if you do prefer the Whedon Cut. Anyway, make sure you give this video a like, man. Hit subscribe. I'm dropping plenty of content on this channel for you guys. Daily content, multiple videos a day. And anyway, if you don't already know, I'm the Demigod. I am the chosen one here on Demigod ENT. And I'm out of this thing, man. Peace.